welcome to another broadcast of The Soul of the Everyman on the ArtistFirst Radio Network. All past shows are archived. You can find them at ArtistFirst.com. And now, here they are, the calmest people on the network, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
It's the trip rate. Thank you very much, Scott. And yes, this is Margaret and Michael Lyons, and I'm not Margaret.
But I am.
And welcome to the Soul of the Everyman show. And welcome again, yes, as Scott said, to an oasis of peace.
Right.
Because right at this time of year, we really need it. And our show tonight is about this time of year, about the fact that we all get stressed. And that you can detect it in every second of the time you spend on the road and the mall and stores. Everybody is just right at the edge. They're right on the edge of snapping and just killing everybody for a 100-yard radius.
Oh my, that is true.
I mean, it's Black Friday, Brown Friday, Green Wednesday, Purple Tuesday. It's just they want to just the media and the Madison Avenue really, and every Hallmark, greeting card video, silly thing. They're all trying to just get you just so ramped up.
Well, it's more difficult now because, in general, the media has been sort of ramping up people's emotions any way they can. And everyone that I know of has just been sort of turning off, in general, news because they're feeling the manipulation. They're getting triggered, and they don't need that stress. And then this is your seasonal stress because you have got to do Thanksgiving and Christmas.
And that's exactly right, Margaret. You said it in the right words. You've got to do it. It's like a prison sentence. You just can't. You can't opt out, or suddenly, it's all and suddenly I'm the bad guy because you don't want to meet you don't want to see Uncle Fred at the Thanksgiving dinner table, and it's not Uncle Fred's fault. It really comes down to that we're all, Bloody Christmas starts like the day after Halloween.
Yeah.
They're emptying out the pumpkins and tossing in the Christmas trees in the Walmart the Walmart aisles, and you're like, what? And rocking around the Christmas tree is playing in like every corner of the mall, and you're just like, I can't. It's way too darn early.
Well, it's too much because
too much.
Your head is like, okay, I'm trying to get candy for Halloween, and you're trying to, dealing with the kids, the grandkids, and the visitors and whatnot. And then suddenly, it's like this.
As you're reaching for the bag of M&Ms, it suddenly becomes candy canes. Like you blink your eyes and like, pink, ah.
No, well, it's hovering over your head like a dark cloud, or a dark Christmas cloud. You just the Christmas balls and the tinsel are hovering over your head. And you're just like, I can only concentrate on one thing at a time. I don't know about the rest of you guys, okay? And because Christmas means, your Christmas list and getting all that prepped in some direction. And that takes a lot of effort to organize. But all you're trying to do is, make some kids really happy because they get some candy or something, some toy or something. So you got all that going on, and then it just begins to build. The pressure builds slowly in this bottle of your attention.
Slowly I turned.
And then, you wind up getting through Halloween into Thanksgiving. You're looking at Thanksgiving, and you hadn't even considered Thanksgiving because you had Christmas down the pike.
It's like a whistle stop in between Halloween and Santa Santana Satan coming through. It's just like it's just Yeah, Thanksgiving, all that is like the starting bell of round one of the death match that is Christmas. You
Oh
know.
yeah. No, that was like the Black Friday specials where people are slugging other people, and you're just like,
Or
wow.
popping a cap in someone's derriere. And
Crazy.
it's crazy, and to abstract, to sit yourself back for just a second, abstract. It is driven by the calendar now has been turned on its head, and everything is driven by the sort of the economics of the thing. The folks who are now pounding on our heads trying to get us to buy the latest, squeezed out pile of goo, plastic nonsense, is because 6 or 7 months ago they were ordering up, shiploads, container shiploads of the same stupid plastic junk that was on a slow boat from the Far East, so that it would be here and trucked in and set up in these giant, ominous looming mounds of toys, for this exact moment. So, they're all locked into it too. These poor folks have to think about Christmas in July.
Right. That's why you have Christmas in July.
It's why you have Christmas in July, to get rid of the other crap they couldn't sell last Christmas. It's just it's a lovely, beautiful celebration which has been turned. This becomes a gauntlet, which
which is the starting bell is as soon as everyone's digested the turkey.
It's even before that, it seems.
Well, it's just that as you said, Thanksgiving seems to be a through stop instead of it being a celebration. Most of us, you think of Thanksgiving and you're like, okay, I got to prep. I have to cook. I got to get all my stuff. And the supermarkets are the ones that have, how far in advance do they have to order frozen turkey to give away after you do your $400 whatever?
For the Great Turkey Massacre?
Mm-hmm. They're already dead. They're frozen, okay?
No, the one that started in September or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Line them up, start killing the turkeys. But that Thanksgiving is we're all distracted because we have to sit down with our relatives that we all hate or love, but and talk to them about all the banal things that they want to talk to us about. And we had a lovely Thanksgiving. It was a big celebration, and we had a great time. But that's not true of everyone, and many people are sort of they see Thanksgiving exactly as you just said it. It's like you have to put on, it's like put on my game face, man. I got to put my armor on. I got to get ready because 10 seconds after that last gnawed drumstick hits the garbage disposal, I've got to start.
Got to run out and hit the black. They're starting Black Friday on Thursday at 6.
Which is basically you put on your Rambo, like you're putting like you tie the bandana, you put the grease on, you load up your AK, and you head for the mall,
or whatever store is having the crazy Black Friday sales.
Exactly.
But that is exactly what a number of people do. And then some people have the tradition of we got to get the Christmas tree the next day,
right? Because
we got to make Christmas last as long as possible.
I was literally, and I was on the road a couple of days ago, and almost pushed off the road by a truckload of Christmas trees, that was making a left-hand turn, and yes, you're going to see Christmas trees, and they do have to set them up and truck them in from wherever they truck them in for, but
the Great Christmas Tree Massacre.
The Great Christmas Tree Massacre, which closely follows the Great Turkey Massacre, and that preceded, of course, by the Great Pumpkin Massacre. So we have just we're just
wave upon wave
upon wave of dead bodies.
Mayhem.
Of mayhem. It's nothing like the holidays for waves upon waves of dead bodies.
We wonder why we're stressed.
No, yeah, and that's exactly it. And coming back to our theme, all this is happening, and it really is. It seems that September comes, the kids go back to school, a month goes by, and it's Armageddon, and it is relentless until New Year's, and that's the other thing. Christmas comes after all this, after all the the gunfire and the the giant movements of troops and the dead bodies, and Christmas is over, and all of a sudden it's New Year's, and it's a race to that. You can't. You got, well, but it's not. You have to literally turn around, unwrap those gifts, stuff that stuff in there, throw the tree out the door, and get your party hat on, because now it's New Year's. And so there you are, staring at yourself, January 8th, going, "What just happened? I was just mugged by Christmas," and it happens every freaking year. So we should have started in July, and I think if you go back and listen to some of our archives, you can start to think, you start to armor yourself up with the armor of peace, with the armor of anti-stress, of I'm going to enjoy myself despite all you people who are trying to make me run to the mall, put on my AK-47, and massacre some Christmas trees. I'm not going to do that.
You can choose. You can choose.
You can choose.
You can choose the state of your heart. And it's, again, we've been around this dryer drum how many years? You realize that there is this round of stress that's about to happen. And every year, I have to say, it is different circumstances. But it is the same gauntlet that you've got to run. So you consciously have to choose the state that you're going to be in before you enter the fray.
Yeah.
In other words, like for Thanksgiving, you're never quite sure what the rest of the family's mood is going to be. Everybody you have, especially a large group, you never know what's going to happen. So before you go in, you just say, okay, I am just happy to be here. I am in a happy state of mind. I've brought bacon turkey, and everybody loves that, so we're going to share something that everybody's going to enjoy. And no matter what happens, I'm just going to be there.
Right. You put on your you dispose yourself to a serene frame of mind. You say no, you could unexpectedly, people could be in a good mood unexpectedly. but you just go in there saying, it's going to be, the Thanksgiving from Hag, and I am going to be the oasis of peace. I am going to be the one who just sits here and says, that's just wonderful. All the things that are bothering you, I'm going to listen with an open ear and just give back what they're looking for, and actively decide to not engage in the drama or in the negativity or in any way amp that up.
Well, your previous experiences, the personalities you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah.
So you almost have to sit there and go, well, I'm forgiving you before you open your mouth.
Yes.
Because I know what comes out of your lips. I've been around the dryer drum a few times. I've seen this happen again and again. I'm forgiving you already.
Yes, and I think it's good advice, not just for these types of environments, when you're already under a lot of stress, but in almost every situation, you have to go in allowing people to be human, to be not necessarily having a great day at the moment, to be having other stressors in their lives, and
you're anticipating that they do say stupid things.
Right, and we all do, and the
right.
You go in with that mode, and you can survive these things much more, much more sort of calmly, or without taking away the negative, without taking away the stress. You're there to have dinner with people you purport to love, and who purport to love you, and it's really for the kids. If there's always kids, these kids are always bright and open, and they're there to have a good time. And if you put yourself in that mode, put yourself in the mode of just, I don't care, I'm here to have cake, or I'm here to have, some turkey, or, whatever it is. Your heart is then therefore leading. Your heart is in the right place. Your energy is there. You're not in the power center where you have to be right or they have to be wrong.
Right.
And you're not in the combative kind of, XYZ always says this and I don't like that and this is my opinion and that's their opinion and and we're going to fight about this. You get away from all that. You just go up to the, we're here to have cake and let's have some cake. And we're going to talk, and in essence, like you said, forgive all the things that could possibly happen before they happen.
Right. Because let's face it, you're an intelligent human being, and you can actually decide whether or not an event is going to make you crazy or not, and you know certain things trigger you. So it's like, okay, I'm an adult here. I'm taking responsibility for myself. So let me choose peace over strife.
Right. And what are you doing there? You're kind of preparing yourself with an awareness of yourself and of your environment. And the environment includes, the people who are there at the table, who are there in the room. But it's mostly the awareness of self. You say, well, if I put myself in the right, right state, right space, then I don't have to worry about what else happens because it all comes back into me, and I am already prepared and in the state where I say, that's just great, or I'm just not going to allow my center to be knocked off or in any way disturbed by these environmental events because I'm already aware that could happen, and I'm already aware, therefore prepared. I'm balanced already.
And you've made space for the madness that could ensue. All right, doesn't mean it always ensues, but you already know it could happen.
Right.
And because I know that my heart state is most important to me right now. And that's where I'm operating from. I'm going to be at peace. And I'm going to concentrate on, you know what? We're all here. We're all together. I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you, whether you are or not.
No, I am glad. I am glad to see you. I don't care what your reaction is.
Right. And I'm glad to see you. And the one feeling engenders the other. See what I mean? If you greet somebody with the openness of heart, say, I'm glad to see you, and the preparation, the awareness allows you to be entirely sincere about that. You're just there like a 2-year-old saying, hi, give you a hug. And then you get that immediately back. It's very much like we were talking about in one of our earlier shows about karma. You get what you give. If you're going to give the stressed attitude and the chip on your shoulder and the I'm going to bring drama to the table, well, you're going to get it back tenfold.
Mm-hmm. But it's being in that state of I'm glad to see you. And that communicates.
Yes.
That if that's the only purpose that you come into these gatherings for, then I'm glad to see you. And just hold that, there's an amazing amount of peace that can flow. Even if madness starts ensuing somewhere, it doesn't matter because this is your fallback position.
Exactly. And you become much like the soul of the Everyman is an oasis of peace, where it's contagious. What you just said, it's contagious. So you can choose how you react, and your choices echo outward to the others in the room. Almost, it doesn't force them to do it, but it blunts anyone who's actively trying to create drama And those who don't want it anyway, but don't know how to, they don't know how to deal with it. They almost like it's, well, I got to react to the drama. You say, oh no, I can go this way because look, that one's doing it and it's working. So that you build a consensus of calm, and you can do that as part of your whole sort of holiday mantra.
Well,
go ahead.
I think you and I have discussed this before about how when you're driving on the highway, and you've already made your decision that there's crazies out there, but I'm going to have this bubble of calmness all around me and all around my car, and this sort of sanity cloud that you're driving in. And what you find is that you get all these people around you, other cars, that pretty much say, this is the way to do it. And
right.
you form this grouping as you're traveling along the highway. And whenever there's a crazy that's going, we're all just looking at the crazy going, okay. And
right.
they find a way to go around, usually, passing in the left-hand lane as opposed to the right, because all the calm people are trying to abide in the law. But anyway, that kind of bubble is what you can bring to a gathering. And I know, speaking for myself, we had tremendous amounts of people for Thanksgiving. And it's just a lot of activity, and you're all gathered into, a small space for was it 30 people or so?
Yeah.
So the activity level just starts ramping up, especially after you've eaten and your body begins to energize a little bit. And I just remember, since you want to hold that peace, regardless of the madness, just sitting down pretty much in the middle of the room and just, I'm good. And you basically have decided, okay, calmness. Yeah, this crazy's going on. It's just that same kind of calmness. And what I remember, exactly what you said, there were a number of people who wound up walking in going, you have the right idea. And they wound up sitting next to you, a number of them. And we're all just kind of chilling while the madness is going on.
Right. And even the madness becomes, it's not no longer the dominant force. Just as with the example on the highway or in any kind of traffic, traffic's a stressful situation. It sort of occurs on a daily basis. You can again decide to be the calm, decide to show or pattern what you want to see. It's very much like manifestation. If you want to see madness, you give out madness. If you want to see calm, you have to give out calm. If you want to see purpose and focus, you have to give out those things, purpose and focus. So you prepare yourself by being aware of yourself, being aware of what you want, and then no amount of holiday madness can get in. It'll try. I mean, it will try. And
True. And
one of the avenues that it gets in, and this is part of the awareness part, is it annoys you. It becomes this sort of annoyance, this niggling thing. React to me, react to me, react to me, react to me. Look how silly I am. Look how stupid I am. And it's a way to get, oh, that's so stupid. And then you're knocked off and you're reacting. The awareness to not react, but to be proactive, to say, I know you're going to do that. I know you're going to try and annoy me. I'm ready to be annoyed. Go right ahead. Annoy me. Nothing annoys those who want to annoy you more than you saying to, I'm here so that you can start annoying me. Begin. They're like, yeah, you're taking all the fun out of it.
It's true. Well, the ones that want to annoy you almost do it. They want to do this like surprise attack to annoy you.
Yes.
It's hysterically funny. And when you realize that you got their number.
Yes. They don't like having their number. They don't like you coming in prepared, because they think that this is somehow, like you say, a surprise, and they get the upper hand. Surprise is a military tactic in essence to get the upper hand. They come in and say, "I'm going to do this, and it's going to knock them all off, and they're all going to be, reeling, and I'm going to be."
Yeah, I'll be the center of attention.
I'll be the center of attention. And instead, you come in there and say, "Ah, yes. Well, I am prepared now for 15 minutes of annoyance from you. You may begin." "But I only have 7 minutes of material." "Well, then I will bank the other 7 minutes, and you may annoy me further later." We're like, "Yeah,
That's no fun.
that's no fun. I'm going to go find somebody else to annoy." "Well, you go right ahead, do that. I still have the 15 minutes right here whenever you're ready." I have a lot of you. So a certain, you prepared yourself to the point where you're so aware of what where your heart is, where your energy is, that you say, "Yeah, I'm going to be attacked in these ways, and I'm ready. I'm ready for that." You're not looking for a fight, but you're ready to deal with the provocation.
Mhm. Well, it's kind of, how do I say this? The awareness allows you to make, it's like a barrier, almost like the oil on a duck's back. The oil is the reason why all water rolls off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've got a barrier, and that oil it doesn't cling to any of the stuff that's being thrown on it. Just all the duck has to do is shake itself off, and that's all you wind up doing. You realize that all you have to do is just flick those wings, man, and that's it.
And you're dry.
I am untouched.
Untouched. And writ large, the Thanksgiving dinner is sort of like the small game, or it's the game you have to go to, and that you're going to have to endure, and you have to be prepared for that. But then there's the big game, the big, everyday stress, especially this time of year. People have SAD, seasonal affect disorder. The days are short, they're dark, they're cold, they're rainy, like in New Jersey, it's raining every 17 seconds, or it's snowing, and all these things, all this stress on top of, this sort of death march to Christmas, it can just drive you up one wall and down the other if you're not prepared for it. If you let each individual event surprise you and get a control on you, get a reaction on you. And then once you're reacting, you're moving, you're off balance, and they've got you. They can guide you any way they want you to guide.
And they can drag you along any which way they want to go. And it's like you just have to decide that, my soul is more valuable than that. And yeah, I would like to have a more productive relationship with you guys, more positive. But where you're at, it's not really rolling in that direction. So I'm just going to allow you the space to mature.
Yes, and it's very much like in the physical, an analog of this in the physical would be a martial art training. What's the first thing that you learn in martial arts? You learn balance. You learn your center. And your center here is your heart center. It's your heart chakra center. But it's the same sort of thing. If you're balanced in your heart, you are immovable. You are unshakable. You become a pattern by which everything else around you can move, and in essence move to the peace.
Right. In that back and forth training, martial art training, you understand that your center is truly center. You claim center, and everything moves around you.
Yep.
So that you are never off center. And when you are dealing with an attack, the easiest thing to do is to turn the other person's center of gravity off. Get them off center.
Mm-hmm.
But you claim center.
Right.
So That is key. You must claim center. You must claim your heart as center. And then things begin to move around that balanced point.
And we have reached the center of the program. And we are going to take a balanced break, go back to the studio, and rotate around and come right back out the other side.
The Timeless Esoterica radio program with Dr. Bruce is broadcast on the fourth Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on ArtistFirst.com. We explore topics including the paranormal, alien life, mysteries, conspiracies, hidden history, oddities, and much more. Each show will feature a special guest with exciting and thought-provoking discussion. Always keep an open mind, an open heart, live forever, and remember Dr. Bruce believes in you.
When tornadoes raked the South, it was ham radio that was on the air, saving lives. As communities lay in ruins, it was the hams who let their families know their loved ones were safe. When the power and cell phones went out, the hams were there, helping rescuers get the message through. Wherever catastrophes strike, amateur radio is ready. Amateur radio works when other communications don't. Contact the ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio, on the web at emergencyradio.org. That's emergencyradio.org.
There is a Reaper is the story of 5-year-old Christopher Aaron and his life-changing struggle with leukemia. Winner of both the Indie Bragg Medallion as well as the reader's favorite silver medal for memoir, There is a Reaper has more than 100 Amazon book reviews and a 5-star rating. It has been described as life-changing, spiritual, a must-read. Just released on Audible and iTunes, this memoir is also available in paperback and on Amazon Kindle for only 99 cents. Get your copy of this life-changing memoir today.
Taking God on Patrol is a first-person account of the world of law enforcement from the perspective of a Christian police officer in the 4th largest city in America. From speeding car chases to the crossing of the thin blue line, author Mark S. Cariner seeks to find God's biblical truth in a behind-the-scenes look at law enforcement. And check out Mark's newest book, The Tactical Heart. Both are available at Amazon.com.
The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed is the latest book from Michael Lyons, the award-winning author of There is a Reaper. Featuring 13 original stories, this wide-ranging collection has everything. Forbidden love, gods versus demigods, weird invading aliens, sexy seductive artificial intelligence, and unusual passion between the living and the dead. All set amidst fantastic worlds of pain and loss and boundless joy. From the sublime to the macabre to the bittersweet, The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed will leave you breathless with laughter, brimming with tears, trembling with suspense. Available now on Amazon.com, Google Play, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere.
Hi, my name is Christina Garlick, and my new book, Nevada Rain, is now available. It's a sci-fi fantasy story for ages 14 and up. I hope you check it out, and of course enjoy. Also, you're listening to the ArtistFirst radio network that has a station for everyone.
You are listening to The Soul of the Everyman on the ArtistFirst radio network. You can always send your questions and comments in to dj@artistfirst.com. Back to your hosts, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
Thank you very much, Z-Man. That was relatively stress-free. And we are welcome back to the second half of the Oasis of Calm during this rather stressful holiday period. Everyone take a deep breath. And then let it out. I hate sin, I hate sin, I hate sin, I hate sin. See, didn't that feel good? No, we don't hate Santa. Santa is a lovely, wonderful saint, Saint Nicholas, of course, and I'm sure he and everything that's actually behind the holidays would be very annoyed at what we in Madison Avenue, what we have allowed Madison Avenue to do to it. But in fact, we have to go to war with the army we have, and the army we have is the current American consumer culture, which is what it is. It's very wonderful, but it's got its warts and its lumps. And you don't want to be the sausage that gets ground up in it every time they want you to do something. You prepare yourself. We talked about it in the first half hour. You prepare yourself. You put yourself centered, and you say, I know they're going to try and hype up little Johnny to buy the latest piece of plastic goo that costs $300. I know that's going to happen, so I've got to get ahead of it. I've got to be ready for that. I've got to be ready when little Johnny and little Susie run into the bedroom and scream at the top of their lungs that they want the XYZ project that costs $1,000. You know they're going to do it because that's what they do. These demons are not going to stop doing that thing. Your job is to provide that balanced center. We mentioned it just before we went to the break. Like a martial artist, like somebody who's been trained in the martial arts, your heart center is immovable if you decide that you're going to remain there.
Yes. Balanced and centered. And every movement that you do or every decision that you make means that your heart's state of balance is primary. And when it comes to your children as well, because let's face it, if the kids are unhappy, nothing upsets your own heart more. Now, it doesn't mean that they're unhappy about, wanting stuff. But what I mean is showing them what a true heart state actually is. And there's a wholeness, teaching about wholeness of the heart and of being. It's not just wanting what you see. This is the whole purpose in parenting, is allowing the children to see what a balanced adult looks like. We try really hard.
Right. And just it's a daily struggle to provide that example, because it's very important. It's something which, of course, is done both overtly and unconsciously. You overtly attempt to provide a good example to your children. You're doing that as one of the jobs of being their parent or their grandparent or their caregiver. But then there's just the things you do realize if you have had kids, but you may not realize if you haven't had them, that children are observing you 24/7, 365. They are like the stealth bombers of people. They are patterning themselves and looking for themselves in you and what to do constantly. So even when you're driving in the car and you just you get cut off and you make let's say a creative gesture, that gesture is imprinted. That reaction is imprinted. So when you react and you go off center and your heart is off the rails, they're watching, they're patterning, they're internalizing. They're going to be copying you. And so when 20 years later, when you say to your little precious child who's now a pseudo adult, why do you do that sort of stuff? Because you always did. Well, yeah, because they were watching and you were doing. And no one knows you better than your children. It's nature and nurture. They're both related to you, and they've been observing you like hawks.
What you see, the one thing that always gets their attention, 100% attention, is if something unexpected happens to mommy or daddy, then it's amazing watching them because they open up wide and they look not only with their eyes but their ears and every sense that they've got. what is mommy or daddy doing right at this moment when this thing has come in?
Right.
And and I wish I'd known more about that when I was a young parent, because back in my head, I'm like, okay, I have to watch what I do. Okay, I understood this to a certain point. I never realized how wide open they are when they're young like that. It goes right to their heart.
Yeah.
It goes right to their heart. So if something happened and it was dangerous, like when you're driving in the car and some car is cutting you off, and it was like you had to do everything in your power not to be involved in an accident. Okay, your first reaction that rises up, they see it and they go. It's amazing because they go dead silent. You ever? They go absolutely silent, and if you glance at them, you realize everything's going in right now.
Right.
They are imprinting the mood of the moment, the tension, the response, the expression on your face.
Yes.
The position of your body, the focus that you are giving to the moment. It all goes in. It's more than a snapshot. It is a 3D hologram that's getting imprinted into their little base of their brains. That this is what we do when we're stressed. Okay, genetically speaking, my genetic mother is genetically responding this way. This is how I guess I'm supposed to respond.
Yes, and you can see the survival, the value of that for survival situations. So for umpteen thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, when something bad happened, a predator tried to attack, the reaction, the instantaneous reaction that the adult would give was to survive. So imprinting on that, because if you survive, I have to survive. If you figured out how to do it, I have to figure out how to do it. And if that learning moment is tied directly to an existential, to a survival, meme, a survival imprint. So yes, exactly that. When we are stressed, we ourselves are stressed, but our children also feel our stress immediately. They're in a position where they're tied to you at a visceral level. They haven't yet separated.
And what's interesting is whether or not you have established a foundation where they understand that you are immovable. Your heart piece is immovable. You can always be counted on. Okay? Exactly. If you go into fear, they immediately take that in and say, well, then it's a fear mode that I've got to respond in.
Yes.
And that is a very hard thing to try to teach.
Well, to unteach, right.
To get that fear response out of them once they've taken it in. It takes a longer time and a much more in-depth consciousness. Okay, that's fear. I shouldn't take that because it goes in deep.
It's almost impossible to unroot. Those types of stressor learnings become because they become sublingual, sub-thought.
Right.
They're at a heartbeat level, and so it is your reaction, your visceral reaction to stress becomes their visceral reaction to stress, and to the extent that you can be that rock, and it's difficult because obviously, real situations where you're really stressed, where you really have a possibility of injury or death, are difficult for your own self to handle in a rock-like, calm manner. But you also have the opportunity. The fun part about, not fun, the amazing part about that reaction is it's not just the instantaneous moment. There's a period of time after it. It's called the refractory period, when you have an emotional reaction during which you're still open, you're still available, and you can mold it. It's very difficult to mold the initial reaction because it happens before you're aware of it.
It's pre-verbal.
Pre-verbal and pre-thought. So you're in a reaction before you're aware. The Dalai Lama and some of the other researchers in this science of reactive emotion, have talked about becoming aware that you are in a reaction as soon as possible. There's no one, perhaps maybe the Dalai, but no one who can become aware before the reaction begins. You get the reaction. You're angry. You're fearful. You're stressed. You're whatever, and then the tendency is to walk right off into whatever crazy post-reactive stress problem that you're going to, screaming, yelling, whatever. You have to stop yourself right there in the midst of the reaction and become aware. I am angry. I am fearful, and observe yourself. Be there. Now, your children are right there with you. They are watching you, and they see that down to the core. They see your stress reaction, and they see, if you have that moment, if you then marshal yourself and say, okay, I am not going to go off into the unconscious reaction and all the damage that does, and just stop and become aware. Yes, there's still the period of reaction. You cannot get away from your brain chemistry. The reaction is there, fear, anger, whatever. You can then say, oh, Mommy or Daddy was very afraid, but I knew that we were going, and you can become the teacher, because that refractory period, that attention span period, is incredibly important to be able to not have that be their whole reaction, from trigger to emotion to, gone, off doing the damage, or doing the, becoming as fear as the basic reaction to this particular stress. You have to get it at that point. So what's the key? Awareness. Awareness of your own emotions, of how intimately they're being observed, and how much putting yourself into the state of prepared, balanced heart energy will also be observed and internalized, rather than crazy off to fear, or crazy off to anger, or crazy off to whatever reaction it is. It's not easy. It's not easy. You're fighting yourself in many ways, and the pre-preparation is the key.
Well, the decision has got to be there. You must make the decision that you are not going to go into the well-worn grooves of your reaction.
Yeah.
And the well-worn grooves are evidenced before you, if you've watched your own parents and you've seen how they reacted to things, how fear can affect individuals, and their expressions are varied according to the fear, or rather their fear reaction has got its own patterns, each and every one. So when you realize that that's there, that's in your toolbox. You might have a stress reaction like your dad or like your mom, but because you are aware, you say, no, it doesn't do anything, right? And that's really key, making the decision on whether or not you will embrace one or the other, because you can do that. And how do you get out of those reactions? I know, speaking for myself, especially when it has to do with a life or death situation over a child that you love, you sacrifice all of it. You realize that in your humanness, I'm not going to do that, because those reactions that were patterned for me will harm him even more. And I might miss the possible cure for his
hurt.
Well, his death sentence.
Well, in our case, but in broad, the damage that is the reactions that you were handed, that you observed and internalized, you have the opportunity with awareness to change them, and then therefore affect your children and those around you.
What I understood was his life is more important than whether or not I'm comfortable or I'm in a reaction.
Exactly.
So it was a lot of, all right, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I will not burden my child with this reaction, because the one thing I did understand is that the way I reacted in that moment is going to be the foundation from which he's going to respond to what's happening to himself. And I did not want to color his experience, because it's his life. It's not about me. It's about him. So understanding that he needs to have a clear, broad foundation. I refused to go into go into those reactions, because that's not going to help him one little bit. And I don't want him to take care of my reaction.
Right.
Because when you don't take care of your own reaction, you put the burden on someone else.
Exactly.
To deal with you.
Exactly.
So is that what you want? Be really clear on what you choose, because what we're talking about, is the foundation of karma. That action that you so choose will reemerge further down the line. And is that what you want to come from your child or the one you love?
And exactly, and these are these existential reactions, and training in that environment also can be brought forward into less existential, less life or death type reactions. Just the reactions of everyday stress or holiday stress, or dealing with large groups of people that you happen to be related to. These types of stressors are less, but yet the same process. Your children are observing how you treat Aunt Mildred when Aunt Mildred wants to, corner you and talk to you about her dentures. Well, that stressor is a much less, obviously no one's dying here, but the stressor of having somebody try to claim you and push you off center and kind of make you dance to their jig, and how you deal with that is being observed. You have your reaction. You have the reaction which is in them. So our awareness is key in all these situations. The awareness that you didn't want to pass on your reaction to someone who is already dealing with an existential threat on their life and yet was immature. We have to be aware of the fact that we're not acting in a vacuum, that we are being patterned on, and others who aren't our children are reacting to how we react. So awareness says, I'm not going to be the one who takes this off the rails. When my heart gets pushed off the rails, I push everyone else's heart off the rails, and then you end up with a situation where everyone in the room is screaming at each other and won't talk to each other for a week afterwards. And yeah, maybe you get over it and so on, but that you never actually get over those things. They leave emotional tracks, scars. You said it before, they become well-worn pathways that the next time it's even easier to do the exact same thing. It becomes a little river in your mind. And I think one of the neurologists was saying that these become actual detectable pathways in the brain. They're like little trees. And that every time you react that way, the same set of little trees gets lit up, and it becomes a little bit stronger. A little bit stronger. The mind is a very plastic organ. It becomes malleable. It learns and it changes all the time. So the way you use that reaction is also how your mind is channeling which trees are getting lit up, and the tree that you light up is the tree that's easier to light up the next time.
Mm-hmm. And you can actually choose to transform those trees into a more positive patterning.
Exactly.
So, but this is what I mean. You must make an internal decision and refuse to take the lower road, the lesser path, or the lesser light. Those trees light up, but there are different degrees of light that go on through the brain. Mm-hmm. And the brighter or the more, the brighter the tree, it's more creative. The patterning happens for the human mind. Just it gives more of a more tool to be able to find solutions, because that is what we do down here. You are able to be conscious and aware of what's going on, and with that ability to open your mind, you also almost open up the different pathways in your head to find solutions.
It's very, very true. The more when you have these narrow, well-worn channels, they're also extremely. They ignore all the power of the brain and the ability for finding solutions or finding different ways to do things, and they just make it very much like an animal reaction. When somebody's in one of these reactions, it's almost an animal reaction. It's stimulus response.
Right.
I push button A and flame B shoots out the side.
Pavlovian. And your brain, if it's to be used to its full effect, has to involve all portions of it. The way way your children are observing is they see, stimulus and fire shoots out your mouth. Well, that's how every time. That must be how you do it. Somebody comes by and cuts you off, and you raise that middle finger and you scream at them and you beep your horn and you scream obscenities, and that's the way to do it, man. And then next time they're in their little tiny tight car and somebody cuts them off, they'll do all those same things. And you're like, the worst thing to do at that point is say, "Oh, isn't that cute?" No, it's not cute, because they'll be doing it when they're 25, and maybe getting into an accident or into teaching their own children this kind of terrible behavior. So to bring us back to our center a little bit on the soul of Everyman is, the holidays and this time of year are rife with those types of stressors. There's a lot of well-worn grooves.
And there's a lot of children, not just yours, and a lot of people observing how you react and being influenced by your reaction. So awareness, cultivate your awareness, cultivate your heart center, be actively balanced, be actively ahead of the situation. Say, I know Aunt Mildred's going to talk about her dentures. I'm prepared.
Well, you're doing, at this point, what you're talking about is all the mental preparation. This is the mental approach to it, but you really need to be grounded again, and I stress it again and again. You must be grounded in the moment of now.
Yep.
Just be present in this moment of space and time. Don't sit in the mental spin of, well, I know this is going to happen, or I know that's going to happen. You just make space for it. You don't play.
Don't call it in.
Don't replay what has happened before. Okay, that's prepping to go down the well-worn groove. You come to the point of, well, okay, you understand that this can happen. You make this space, but you've already decided that you will be calm in the present moment, grounded, and immovable.
Right. So now we have to move along. And so this has been The Soul of Everyman.
And I'm Margaret.
And I'm Michael, and don't be stressed.